What's up, Holloway gang? Welcome back to episode 9 of the Let Me Holla at You podcast. We hope you had a wonderful week last week. We're making it through this thing together. We're holding it true. But welcome back to your home where we talk about real love, real life, and real stories. We're so happy to have you back. We have a really awesome episode in place for you guys this week. So with no further ado, let us holla at you.
Welcome back again, guys. We're so excited to have you here. And if you're new, thank you for coming. But if you're not and you're, an oldie, thanks for being here again.
Yes.
And as you guys know, we are starting off this episode with a story. This week, I was scrolling through Reddit, and I found a story that I just had to share. We did get a write-in or two, but I want to wait till the next episodes to share those because I think they fit a little bit better. So they are coming. We did not forget you. We have them. It's in our DMs. We got you.
Yes.
But this week, this one kind of pertains to this week's episode. So we're going to go ahead and just kick us off with our Reddit story.
Let's go.
So this Reddit story comes from the Am I the Asshole thread. It is titled, Am I the Asshole for Asking My Boyfriend to Leave for one night so I can host Galentine's? I, 27 female, have been living with my boyfriend, 28 male, in a small trailer in the South for the past 2 years. We've made it our home, but as you can imagine, space is very limited. This weekend, I'm hosting a Galentine's night with my closest friends. It's something I've been looking forward to, and I just want a comfortable, stress-free environment to relax and have fun with my girls. The issue? My boyfriend doesn't really have a place to stay for the night, and he's really upset that I'm asking him to leave. He doesn't have a lot of close friends. His one best friend can't host him. His parents live nearby, but his pride won't let him stay there. One of my friends offered to host him at her place since she lives with her partner, but he said he wouldn't feel comfortable staying with people he doesn't know well. So his solution is to stay home, but just hang out in another room. If we lived in a bigger house with more space, or at least thicker walls, this probably wouldn't even be a discussion. But our trailer is small, the walls are thin, and while I'm not saying I'm going to talk shit, I definitely wouldn't be able to fully relax and enjoy myself knowing he's right there. It would just change the vibe of the night, especially because a couple of the girls will be staying over too. He's really upset because, in his words, this is my home too. And I do get that. But I feel like asking for just one night so I can have my space with my girls isn't unreasonable, especially when he does have options, even if they're not ideal for him. Am I the asshole? Now, there is an edit. A few things to clarify. She said, 1, I own the trailer and he moved in with me. 2, I love hosting and I finally got renovations done and enough seating to actually have people over. 3, in the 2 years we've lived together, I haven't hosted my friends once while he's invited whoever he wants to. So I really want to host this at my place and make it special. 4, this request was discussed at the beginning of February. It's just taken all month for me to be able to fund for this party. And also because I'm a stay-at-home mom and my friends are moms, so life got in the way as well. I know it's almost March. And 5, I would always ask if he wants to leave whenever he has invited his friends over. And if he said that I don't have to, then I would leave for the day anyways, just to give him and the friends whatever space they wanted. I would never kick him out just whenever I wanted, just because it's my trailer. So again, am I the asshole for essentially kicking him out for the night?
Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I mean, if you want, I can go. Mine's short and sweet. My first thing is he lives there. What are you kicking him out for? Mm-hmm. And 2, I love hosting too, but you also have to know that there's like a place for that. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to have space and you have to have the resources to be able to host.
Right.
And if you don't have that, then go host somewhere else. Nothing is saying you can't do a Galentine's like outside at a park for like a picnic or something, or you can't go do it somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And also at the same time too, I get that you're wanting him to leave, but I don't really like how she said, like, it's not like, I'm not saying I'm going to talk crap. Like, you're kind of actually, you saying that means you really might and you want to. So I'm like, why are you even, I don't know. There's a lot of things wrong with this for me. Like, yeah. I think that's the problem is because I don't have Galentine's or girls' nights to talk crap about my husband. or even when we were just boyfriend and girlfriend or fiance, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't go and hang out with my girls to talk crap about him. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So I'm like, one, why are you guys even together if you're thinking that I'm not saying I'm going to talk crap, but like, no one brought that up. So you bringing that up tells me you're going to talk crap and you feel like you can't speak freely. It's like, again, why don't you think you can speak freely? Like, you know what I'm saying? The walls are thin, whatever, but it's like, he knows what's going on. If he's really like, you know, your partner, whatever, he's just going to literally go camp out into the room, pretend he doesn't exist and whatever. But I will say my thing too is, can he just not go out and get some drinks or something or go out to eat somewhere? But at the same time, if you're wanting to kick him out for the whole night, like, girl, he lives there. Yeah. So if you don't like the situation, sorry, girl, you're in a trailer. It is what it is. Like, he lives there. You really can't tell him no, especially if you guys are splitting bills or something. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you might own the trailer, but if he's splitting the bills and living with you, and that was an agreement you guys made, that's an oral contract, business school 101. So you can't just kick him out of where he lives. Right. But that's all.
Okay, I think my two biggest things is, one, was it not ever an option or an idea to host the Galentine's like you wanted to, but just host it at one of your friends' homes who maybe have more space, more freedom to do so. That way, your boyfriend didn't feel like he was getting put out of his own home in that day. And then, like, my other fact is, you bringing up at all that it was your place first just shows kind of where your head is at. I feel like that shouldn't be an ideal to consider for that decision at all anyway when you guys live together. So obviously you hosting that party, them being there, should have been a decision that you guys made together, especially being roommates and live for as long as you have, you know. I do understand wanting to have your space and wanting to maybe have a night where it's just you and your friends. So she's not an asshole for the idea behind the Galentine's, but she is an asshole for not considering her partner's like feelings and all of it, and considering like his relocation. Now, I mean, mind you, dude could just go stay with his parents. I mean, it's one night. I mean, I understand not wanting to go back home and your pride or whatever, and they could have had some big falling out.
I was about to say, and there's a reason he's not comfortable going back to his parents' house. So, like, yeah, you say it's his pride, but it's like, obviously whatever happened, even if you think it's minuscule, it's not to him. Right. So
I just think there's just a little bit of, you're just being inconsiderate of his feelings because you really just want to have your Galentine's, which is fine. But I mean, he literally offered to shut himself in a room and literally be unpresent while you're having your Galentine's.
And he never, it sounds like she said that, like, you know, even if he asked me to, like, I wouldn't, or like if he didn't ask me to, I would leave so that way he could have his time. It's like, you're doing that, yes, but he never asked you to leave.
Yeah,
so,
he
like,
never asked you to leave.
You're putting that own pressure on yourself to leave and make it whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, you can still have your friends over. What's the problem with him being there? You know what I mean? Right. It's like, if that's the issue, is like, you don't want him there because he might not get along, or like, you just, again, want to talk crap about him or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, if you're not comfortable with that, then just go somewhere else. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. It's like, you literally live with someone. Even if you like, you had a roommate, even if it wasn't a significant other, you had a roommate. If you're going to have people over in a party and it's like in shared spaces, not in your specific room, which most times you host, you're not going to be in your room. Right. Like, you would still have to run that by them. You know what I mean? So, and if they don't want to leave or don't want it to happen, you can't really be mad at it because that's also their place too. 100%. So,
yeah,
overall,
I think she has kind of been an asshole. Yeah.
Yeah, overall, it looks like most people are saying she's the asshole. There's not a specific vote on it yet because it is actually very new. It was posted like, 5 days ago, I think, or something like that. Okay, so, yeah, very new. If we do get an update or something, we'll let you guys know. But it looks like, from what I've seen in the comments, majority is saying she's the asshole.
Yeah, you can't force your living partner to leave just because you want them to. Like, that's just not fair.
Exactly. And that being said, we're going to go ahead and roll into today's episode.
Let's go.
We have been doing our Love is Blind recaps, and yes, we did have a new drop. However, we wanted to go ahead and kind of do like a little bit of a split right here and kind of do just another episode, give you guys a break from our Love is Blind commentary. Also because next week we will be having our last Love is Blind commentary because we'll have the weddings and the reunion and we'll have all the tea to get into. So we're going to give you guys a break this week. But that being said too, I'm really excited for this episode because this episode's idea was brought to you by one of our listeners. So we had a listener. Yeah, we had a listener write in and was like, I would love to like see an episode or hear an episode of you guys doing, you know, this, and that. So that idea is, or the concept was about living together, moving in together, and, you know, what kind of like awkward fights or conversations it could bring up.
Yes.
So that being said, we did kind of brainstorm a little bit, just kind of common things that I think a lot of people run into. And then it's been so long that we've lived together. I don't even remember us really like moving in and like if we had awkward conversations, but I feel like for us it was actually very smooth.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we had also talked a lot about these things before we moving in.
Right.
And so, and I mean, even now to this day, like sometimes things might come up or things might change. So we'll share our own personal experiences too, but definitely the kind of common things I highly recommend talking to someone out before moving in, especially like a significant other. Like these are those things. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up the obvious. Money.
Yes.
Money is one of those
big relationship topic in general.
Yes, that's a big relationship topic. I feel like in every part of a relationship and every aspect of it, we could have an episode on every single one. Like,
yeah,
because money is a big thing, you know. And I hate to say it, but money makes the world go round. I don't agree with it necessarily, but like, in the fact of the matter, like, money moves a lot, you know.
Yeah.
So, and that is a big sore subject for people. I feel like, in general, that also causes, I mean, even divorces, like there's probably like 30% or so. It's actually a very high percentage last time I checked that divorces are literally from financials.
Yeah.
So my thing is like if you're going to move in together, to kind of try and avoid the awkward conversations or the like big fights on it, discuss ahead of time. Like depending on how long you guys have been together, hopefully at this point you've maybe talked about kind of at least generally what you're making.
Yeah.
And you guys can, or at least decide on like a budget, or say like, hey, I don't really want to discuss like my salary yet, even if because if you might not be there or comfortable with it, that's fine. But at least discuss a budget. You know what I mean? Like, this is how much I want to be able to spend and this and that per month. Like, that's a big thing, is budgeting. And then lifestyle, I think, comes into it a lot too, because a lot of people, like, there's just different ways that they do things. Like, are you one that eats out or gets takeout or DoorDash all the time, or shout out DoorDash, or, you know, are you someone that cooks at home all the time? And where do you allocate your money? Are you someone that likes to go out and do things a lot, or are you more of a homebody? Like, those kind of activities and kind of like almost the lifestyle that your partner has. If you don't really know that to that depth of like, okay, what do they really do when they go home? That could cause an argument just because you're allocating money differently.
Yeah.
But I think a good tip just from me would be like, start off splitting. Like, I don't know your situations. I don't know what you guys are doing, but like, one of the best things I think you can do, especially going into a living arrangement, is just split 50-50, like everything. Like if you're going to go grocery shopping, go together, or you get your groceries, they get theirs, like as almost like a roommate situation. And you split the rent, or you split if you're buying a house, split the, you know, cost of the mortgage. Like I would split everything, and then obviously maybe kind of discuss like how you want to allocate expenses and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think when you get to actually like marriage and combining in your lives and actually becoming like officially a family legally on paper, and you can like have joint accounts and things like that, like that's when you can really get more deep into it. But for now, split everything just 50-50, have your separate accounts, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's the easiest.
My two biggest points on all of these that I feel like these can apply to all of these is awareness and adaptation. Those 2 points are very, very important, especially when living with somebody or doing anything with anybody. I think awareness and adaptation. So awareness again, we've talked about dating on this show before. When you're dating somebody, you can pay attention to how they dress, how they carry themselves. You've probably been to their place a couple times.
Right.
How are things normally presented? Now, keeping in mind on that awareness that people will not show you their norm, especially when you're coming up. Like, they know you're coming, I'm going to clean. Like, I'm not going to have my mess here. Well, I can't speak for everybody. I've definitely heard some stories where people don't went to some people's houses.
We even shared some on ours.
It was just a mess. But again, that is, being aware of those situations. So that way you're not surprised when, you're a little bit more like, you know.
Dirty. No, but.
Dirty. Yeah, I was trying to find a nice way to say. You're a little bit dirtier than I thought.
Messier.
Or you're a little bit more uppity than I thought. Or like you care more about materialistic things than I originally realized. Yeah. But you notice these things. If you're paying attention to the person you're getting to know, the name brands that they have on, what products do they typically use? Are they a dupe person when it comes to perfumes, or do they got all the Kim K and Ariana Grande? Are they buying these name brand? Like, these are things that you can notice without having conversations with the person yet. that can kind of put into your mind what it would be like to live with them.
Right.
Also, your interactions, right? Like when you're out in public, certain conversations, or are you okay with saying certain things out in public that normally you wouldn't be okay? Because that also could be a glimpse into how, you know what I'm saying, they may live at home, you know, versus how you may live. If you're less forthcoming about certain details and you hold things close to your chest, so imagine how you would live at home. You're very private. Yeah. You want certain things are not in public eye. You don't want certain things to be. You don't want people to know certain things. So of course, if you live with somebody that's very forthcoming and y'all move in together, they may share certain details about how you guys live in your living situation that you may not want to be shared. And that's my biggest thing on awareness. Just paying attention to those signs so that you're not surprised when meeting somebody, and there's less of a chance of you guys having a big falling out or there being a big riff or tiff that cause you to grow apart. And then without going too in depth, the adaptation part of that is, are these things that I can work around? Are these things that I can put up with or deal with? And
or we can compromise.
Or we can compromise. And if so, what does me adapting to that look like?
Right.
And is that something that I feel like I can do over time, or is this going to drive me insane? If it's something that's going to drive you insane, that to me is a topic point. We need to talk about this and we need to iron this out because it's going to drive me crazy.
Right.
I
and
understand.
You could literally get, break up or get a divorce down the line because that one thing.
100%. So paying attention to details, I think, is very, very important, especially living with someone. And then as far as, and that goes into the money as well. Like if you look at their lifestyle and you were being very, very aware, relating it back to our first point, then you know kind of what the money situation looks like. When you go out, has there ever been at least one moment where your girl reached for her wallet to pay or offered to pay? Or if it was something small, she was like, let me get that, or let's go get ice cream. Since it was my idea, I'll treat. Even if you as a gentleman is like, no, I got this. You know what I'm saying? We're out together.
Has she ever,
I want to take it. Has she at least offered? That lets you know if she's willing to split.
Or has she even bought you maybe something like a nice gift or something? Like if she knows that you're always going to pay, she now kind of knows not to bring out her wallet. It's like, did she at least try and like maybe get you things here and there, or like get you nice gifts when it comes to your birthday or Christmas, or treat you a little bit on vacation or something? Like, yeah, I agree with that a lot. Like you have to notice habits.
Yes. And when she has ideas for things, are they super extravagant ideas, or are they small things? Like, or are there a good mix of things? You know, like those, again, that's being aware of the person that you're with and things that could potentially come up with living together. Another point I want to make, and then I'll move on so we can get to the next one, is if you're somebody who lives on your own and your particular partner is currently living with their parents or their family members or something like that,
or roommate or something,
that is something to, I think, really, really take into account, because there's certain things that they may not have to do in that living situation or
100%.
be accustomed to doing, because it's split a different way amongst that, you know what I'm saying, household and that partnership. So that's going to change depending on, hey, I hate doing dishes. I hate doing dishes too, but my brother always did the dishes in our house, so you know it's only fair. But you can't put that on me, because that's not, like,
I'm not your brother
that's,
doing the dishes.
that's a conversation. And if it's gonna be dishes sitting in the sink and being smelly and stuff, is something that's going to drive you up a wall, you might want to figure that out.
Right.
That's
that's
like
really
my
good
two biggest points on
and
that.
that actually kind of goes into another point that I was going to bring up, which is the chores.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like with chores, that's another big topic. Is like And I feel like that actually kind of goes into almost love languages a little bit too, like kind of like one of our previous episodes. Because like, for example, for me, it's not always about chores, but like acts of service is like my number one love language. And again, it's not always about the chores, but that is an example of an act of service, would be like doing the chores or something like that, or doing something that your partner usually does, or if you don't usually do something, going ahead and trying to show them, hey, I am trying to do a little better, let me help you out here, and let me go ahead and do this and get it done, like so that way you see that I am trying to help out, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. Like, but with chores, you really got to talk about that, because for example, like growing up, like once my brother and I, we were treated very equally. Shout out my parents, okay? Anything my brother could do, I could do, if not better, just saying. No, I'm playing, but we were treated very equally. We learned all the chores. Like I know how to change my own oil and rotate my own tires. I've helped my male friends literally gone to their flat tires and talked to them through how to change their flat tires and how to put everything on right, what the weight needs to be, torque it, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we were taught all the equal things. My brother was taught how to clean bathrooms, like, you know what I'm saying? So very equally we were taught. Yes. But that being said, let me hop off of that. Coming into, like, I was very also independent, you know what I'm saying? So I lived on my own, obviously, before I got with him, and then we obviously got together. And so, like, I didn't go from my family to living with him. I went from my family to living on my own. I did have roommates, but I also had roommates I didn't know right away. So it's not like I was living with someone that I knew how they already worked too. Like, I really was living on my own. So, that being said, getting a partner, though, it's like when we got older, my brother and I, we started trading off things. Like, so there's things that he didn't like to do, but I liked to do. Like, or I didn't mind doing, I should say, because who likes doing chores? But so, for example, cleaning bathrooms was not his thing. Yeah. And honestly, for me, I hated mowing the lawn. Like, so that was our thing, is he would mow the lawn, I would clean the bathroom. Like, that was our weekly kind of like... I
love cutting the grass, so it worked out.
Yeah, it actually did work out great, yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that was like our trade-off. And so I feel like if you have trade-offs like that, they work really well in relationships. But at the same time, if you guys really just both hate chores, you don't really have any good trade-offs or ones that really align very well, that are at least consistent enough, or kind of, and I hate to say like on an even playing field, but really on an even playing field to make someone feel like they're not doing everything kind of thing, you're going to have to split them, and you're just going to have to both just get them done and move on. Like, even the other night, like, we both hate dishes. Both hate dishes. Okay, that's one thing about us. We hate doing the dishes, and we both hate folding laundry. We'll put it in, we'll move it to the dryer, we'll take it out of the dryer. We hate folding it. So
I don't mind folding. I'm one that I'll put it off.
Yeah, so you hate folding anyway.
Then, but when it comes down to doing it, I'll do it. But it's not like one of those
I will
like,
too, but you don't want to do it.
Immediately want to.
Exactly, that's my point. So we put off that, and we're not bad about the dishes because we like to have a clean kitchen, but we both hate doing them actually, or not hate. We really, really dislike doing them though. So for the other night, for example, we went ahead and tag team him. I asked him to go ahead and start putting like the old dishes away, and then I started on the dishes, and then when I was tired or done or just over it, or like halfway through because of the way done, since he put them away, he could finish the rest. Like that kind of like tag team almost makes it feel like it's not like all at once. Yeah. But you definitely need to iron out chores ahead of time. Like, and also too, there are a lot of men still to this day that are like not providers, but they expect you to split everything 50-50, but still be a whole wife. Yeah, to be the one that cleans the house and cooks and cleans, and like, that's not how it works, honey. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not the world you're in. Like, you want me to split the bills, and you want me to go to work, 8, 9 to 5 or whatever too, and still work out with you, and spend quality time with you and all this other stuff. Yet you want me to do all the cooking and cleaning and stuff because I'm a woman? Like, no. So, check yourself before you wreck yourself. And that goes to a relationship and in chores. But that's all I had to say. I kind of went on a little bit, but I feel like that was kind of, that's all. That's all.
I mean, that's honestly, there's only so much you can say about doing chores. I mean, you gotta split it. I mean, that's there's the reason why I use the term partner instead of girlfriend or wife. Like, it should be a partnership in all things. Like, anything that we can split and do together, we can do it together. That's the point of making you my life partner.
Right. Now, the next one, if you're good on chores, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead and move it along. I had a couple, we had a couple bullet points that we wanted to hit for you guys, but I think this one is actually not talked about enough. So kind of veering into that one, quality time and spending time apart. So I feel like in general, and I put this earlier because I had a thought, right? I had a thought. So even though you're together, existing around each other is not the same as spending quality time with each other. Right. And I say the word existing because when it comes to living with your significant other specifically, or even a roommate or whatever, it's like, I could even be living with my best friend, okay? But existing and living, like, we have a routine where we come home and you shower, you work out and you whatever, and you cook dinner and you do the chores and you do this and that, and then you relax. Like, doing all these things around each other is not the same as sitting down and playing a game with each other, or playing on the Xbox, or finding a TV show that we want to watch together, or a movie or something to come down at the night, in the night. Jesus, cannot speak, words are hard. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the same. So it's like, what are you guys doing to not lose your quality time? Because a lot of people too, I think they actually might lose out in their relationships a little bit, or even have breakups over feeling like they're not as connected anymore after moving in. But I think it's because you might have ironed out the money and the chores and the annoying habits, which we're going to get to, and all this other stuff, but you never actually ironed out the quality time. And on the flip end of that, spending time apart. You know what I'm saying? Like, every human does need a little bit of that time away. Like, are you comfortable and good about getting that time away by going to work? You know what I'm saying? Or do you need, when you come home, time to yourself before you can be, there for your partner and be present? Like, you have to iron out that kind of thing too. And that honestly comes with time. Yeah. For the most part. And sometimes it just clicks. other times you have to work on it. And so, and I mean, even for us, for the most part it clicked, but there were times that we both kind of just needed different things, or, you know, either you needed more time apart or I did, or I needed more quality time or you did. And you know what I'm saying? There's always like a little bit of a push and pull in a relationship anyway.
Yeah.
And so just remember though that existing around each other, even though it's in the same place, does not mean you're spending quality time with each other. And sometimes people can exist around each other and still get their like personal space or like their time apart. Like for me, like if we're not spending quality time together, I can literally be in a separate room and have my like independent personal space, and that works for me because I'm like I'm getting my time away, even though he's literally in the next room existing as well.
Right. No, that's the same for me though. I mean, having that moment, like even when you're in the other room or I'm just in here or whatever, because I can be a night owl sometimes. I can just be up. Right. That is my me time. That's when I do a lot of my thinking, my processing of things throughout the day, or things that I'm going to do to make tomorrow better than the day before, or things that went well or didn't go well. So it's very, very important to also have time for yourself. And your relationship should be like your baby. You know, like babies need nurturing, they need caring, they need certain. They have to have food, clothes, and be cleaned, and like to survive. And it's the same thing with your relationship. It needs to have growth. There needs to be space to breathe individually because you want to keep growing as an individual. Because when you feel like you're not growing as an individual, you're depressed. You know, you're not moving forward. You're not feel like you're moving forward at all. Yeah. So it's important to make sure that you take care of yourself, but you also need to nurture your relationship within that as well.
100%.
And it's hard. I feel like there's a reason why couples who normally get together later in life, like when they're a lot older, they don't always work out as well, or it's a lot more difficult in the beginning because they're so used to having their separate schedules. Yes. And now, like it's one thing to be like, okay, I got to take care of all this at home. Then go to work, and you come back home, you know, you take care of your stuff, and it's like, oh, I get to go hang out with my girlfriend, or I get to go hang out with my wife. That's separate, you know, like that becomes your you time, you know. But then when things get intermixed and life is together now, and I see you all the time, and now I'm still on the grind, and I'm still focused on the things that I want to accomplish as a man, because, I mean, let's be honest, like, men, that is important for you to be attracted to your woman, like having goals and working towards those goals, and like not wavering on those goals, and just continue to strive for them no matter what. That's important for you, for men in general. So I think that it's very, very important to find a way to work those two things together.
I agree.
And I definitely understand having a long work day and coming home and just not really having the energy, especially if you work with people or your job is dealing with other people. I definitely understand coming home and not really having the social skills or not really having just the energy to have another conversation. But I mean, just like it's about awareness and adaptation, sometimes it's also about sacrifices. And sometimes you do maybe have to sacrificing 20 minutes of your quiet time is not going to kill you, just to cuddle with your partner, be there with them, talk about their day, make sure they're good. And then you let them know, hey, I've had a long day, and I totally would love to hang out with you more, but I just need a little bit of woosah time, you know, just for myself. And an understanding partner
not an issue
that knows you're there with them and you guys are doing this stuff together, we'll have no issues with that, more than likely.
I will say too, there's couples out there, and we're not exactly like, we kind of do this without like bluntly saying it, but there's couples out there that will literally come home from their work days, and thankfully, I think we've said it before, but we actually carpool to work because we work so close together, thankfully. So we get to, on the way home, decompress and kind of feel out where each other's at and how much energy kind of they have to give when they get home, kind of thing, or even in the car, just like talking on the way home, like we get that. But if you're coming home like separately and you come home and like this is where you're meeting, which most couples it is that way, and for us it was a long time too. Some couples will even come home and be like, I got 20, meaning they have 20% out of 100 to give because it was that taxing of a day. But that doesn't mean that they only have 20% to give you. It means they only have 20% in total, and they're going to give you the full 20%. Yeah. Or they'll give you 19 of that 20 and have the 1% to themselves. But and then the other can come home and be like, hey, I'm at 60. Or the other, you could really come home after great. I'm at 95. What you want to do? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, but having that like literal blunt conversation of, I've got it, I don't got it, I've got a little bit, I got a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that kind of thing is, I think, very helpful. It's like, don't be afraid to literally just bluntly communicate where you're at.
Yes, and every once in a while, and this will be my last point, it is okay to empty the tank for somebody that you care about. I only got $10 worth of gas left in my tank, but I'm going to give you all 10 because you're worth and you're deserving of that 10.
That's
you know?
So nice.
You're deserving of more than that. But if I've used up all 90% of the gas that I have inside of me, that 10% is totally yours. And like, I will give it all to you and I will let you know when it's gone, you know?
I love that though. No, that's really cute. That's actually really sweet.
And it's real.
I mean, I get it though. Yeah, I'm with you there. So I love it. Okay, so next one is, and this isn't even like super hard, is like annoying habits. Everyone has something that is just like an ick or a tick or something that bothers them. Toilet seats being up, hair in the shower, sleeping and being a snorer or a sleepwalker or talker. Like, sleeping habits, that's actually like a whole nother topic actually that we could get into. You guys need to talk about that. Like, if you know you're a sleepwalker or you sleep talk or you're a big snorer or
let them know that.
You need to have a bed that's super firm and your partner needs one that's super like bouncy or something.
In the middle of the night.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to talk about those things. Like, I'm not a big sleep talker, and I don't want to get into my own personal habits too much, but I do know that I do sleep talk sometimes. But I did warn him about that before, like, we shared a bed. Like, I mean, like, shared a space. Because I'm like, I know this, you know, I know that I can or whatever. So if you hear me and I'm not responding to you directly, I'm probably sleep talking, you know what I mean? Like, especially when I'm really tired. So I'm like, I'm really just gone. But anyway, that could be something like some people are like really light sleepers. And if you're a snorer, like, and you can't control it or fix it or anything, they literally cannot sleep. And then they're going to die because a human needs sleep. Like, I hate to be that dramatic, but you know what I'm saying? Like, those things might not work out. Or you literally have to have separate rooms or something or earplugs or, you know what I'm saying? Like, people do a lot, but talk about that. But back to the annoying habits, because that's kind of where it fell into.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, or even personal grooming. That's a big one. Like, if you have, like, nail clippings left out or, like, beards, because, like, men, they will shave, and he's great at this, so I don't have this problem. I know, I'm lucky. But he cleans up after himself, so...
Whew, I don't know what you were going to say.
Oh, no, it was a good thing. That's why I said I'm lucky,
No,
because I was like, I don't have this issue.
I was like, where's she going with this?
Yeah, no, but
sometimes
he
I'll be
cleans
missing,
up.
you know, I get a little couple hair, I'm like, damn, I could've done that.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? He cleans up after himself, you know what I'm saying? So you have to talk about those things, though, if they really, really bother you, and just, like, work with it. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't, like, a super big stickler on the toilet seat, but then I realized I kind of was a little bit, because I don't know why, but something about a toilet seat being up is just gross to me. So I'm like, just put it down. Like, and if anything, if a toilet has a lid, which most toilets do, put the lid down, too. Like, I'm very sanitary when it comes to that. So if anything, I'm like a big, just put all of it, close it when you're done with it.
And I will say, too, that was a new thing for me, because I am a mother's boy. Shout out to Mom, I love you so much. I am a mother's boy, and so growing up, she was the only woman in her house. It was 3 brothers, my dad, and then my mom. So a lot of the time, us as the men, and great for my father for teaching us this, we would sacrifice to make sure my mom was comfortable.
Yeah.
Because guys, I mean, let's be honest, we could live in a pigsty, and if you're
Slick.
comfortable with that, depending on your personality, like, you're all right. You know, like, guys can be a little gross. Girls or women are a little bit more particular about, you know, the environment that they're in. Some of them, you know.
Yeah.
And so my mom definitely was. So there were certain things we had to work around. Now, my mom was very, very big about this. We moved a lot growing up, but we always had our own bathroom.
Right.
So I never had to really think about the concept of leaving the toilet seat down. Now, when I did get old enough and, you know, we moved in together and we started living together, and I'm like, okay, because I was used to, you know, other things, like we took out the trash, or we did certain things, you know, to make sure that my mom was good when she came home from work, or like I'd have to pick up a lot of the chores that I guess a lot of young boys wouldn't have to do, you know, their mom would normally do. We did that for our mom because my mom had to work too. So I was okay with adapting to the toilet seat thing. It took me a little bit, like I would forget here and there, but now it's a normalcy for me. Like, whenever I go to use the bathroom, I put the toilet seat down. Like, I always put it down, both of them. Close it, flush. And it actually is more clean for your bathroom, because when you flush the toilet with the lid up,
I was just about to say that. Like, I
know,
feel like for me, too, it's actually,
airborne.
like I said, like, the toilet seat being up just looks gross to me, so I'm like, it's just unpleasant. Like, I don't want to see it.
and your toilet gonna look a mess sometimes.
So I was like, and even if I had to put it down myself, like, honestly, that part wasn't even that bad. I think it's actually more the sanitary and, like, knowing that you didn't close the lid on the toilet before you flushed. Like, by the way, if you don't close the lids on your toilet,
fecal matter and urine,
everything,
and all those
like
particles,
all the bacteria that just came out of you and it's gross, you don't want, you're literally putting into the air. So, lesson: if you don't close your toilet lids when you flush or before you flush, start doing it. I promise you're gonna love it, because if you have any towels nearby or anything, guess what's getting on your towels? all that bacteria. And you're just, bacteria.
Yes.
Anyway, so that was actually my thing. But yeah, I'm really happy that he, came around on that one for me and compromised on that one. So.
Well, I mean, again, I said, being aware and adapting, like it's okay to change. That's something small. I think some people can be a little bit pig-headed about just not wanting to change their lifestyle or how they do things. But I mean, just try it another way. Try it for a little bit, and if it just really doesn't work for you, I'm pretty sure that won't be a deal breaker. Like, our next home, we get a home with 2 bathrooms. And I have my own bathroom where I can literally leave the toilet seat up and I will feel like a little prissy little person leaving my toilet seat up and flushing my toilet. I don't care. If it's that deep to you.
You can compromise.
Yeah, you can definitely compromise. I've seen his and hers sinks. Why can't they have his and hers toilets?
They totally could. That's actually a great idea. Let's trademark it. Copyright.
You know where you got it from. Holla at your boy. I want my credit. Holla away. Anyway, holla at me.
Anyway, very good. I only have one last point to make that I think would be like decent to touch on, which is like your free time, what you're doing in it, or like what you guys are doing in it together. So kind of what I mean by this is like a lot of times you can get on your partner's nerves or something just by doing something that you like to do. But for example, to them, like it's just like it's something that I don't want to say pisses them off, but it just grinds their gears a little. You know what I'm saying? Like,
bothers
so
them.
For example, if you have one TV, like you need to decide on something. If you're both in the same room trying to watch TV, you're gonna have to like compromise, especially on that. Or if you have 2 TVs, or if you want to spend quality time together, it's like you have to think about those little things too. Or like, for example, we love playing video games, but we're 2 different video gamers. Like, we'll play the same one sometimes together. Like, we have, like, one that we love to play together, like Call of Duty or whatever. Like, that one we're usually good with. But, like, he loves, like, sports games, and I love, like, story modes and Mario Karts. And, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're just 2 different video gamers, which is fine. But it's, like, you have to, like, share that time a little bit. Or if I'm in the middle of trying to do a project, or in, like, when we were in school or something, or, like, if I'm trying to read a book, and you're, like, over here being super loud and obnoxious, either on the game or watching something on the TV or talking to someone on the phone, it's like, at least have a little bit of courteous kind of, mannerisms for the person that you're living with. And it's not like you have to completely change, but just be aware of what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm not having a great day and I just want to shut myself in the room and read, that's totally fine. And honestly, I'm probably not going to hear you. But if you're being so loud and obnoxious while I'm trying to sit in here and just focus and read and relax and whatever, and you're just yelling at the TV and all this other stuff, blah, 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 like, that could be very bothersome to someone. And it goes the same way, around. Like, if you're hogging the TV and playing video games your entire time, or, you're watching something that you want to watch, it's like, you're hogging, you know what I mean? Like, compromise. But that's all I had to say on that. Just be mindful of that. Kind of, feel each other out on that.
Very demure and mindful of you.
Yes. But that's all that we had for you guys today. So, with that being said, do you have anything else, Dad?
No, I mean, just be willing to compromise and be okay with that. And I think if you always stop for a moment, just think about the other person before you make a decision, before you do something, I think for the most part, you'll always be on a good track and on a good path. Communicate and think for each other. Yes. Think of each other. 100%. Yeah. Cool. Well, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Let Me Holla at You. We hope you enjoyed, and again, we love getting your write-ins. This episode was literally brought to you by a write-in. If also you guys want us to go a little bit more in depth into any of these like topics that we suggested, or if we didn't mention something that you think is important and you would love us to talk about it, please let us know. We'd be happily do another episode. Yeah, and we'd happily do another episode, go more in depth on something if you want us to. Just let us know. But with that being said, please keep writing in. We would love to hear some of your stories for next time. And with that being said, please follow us on our socials. Follow, like, subscribe, comment, share, all of that jazz. We appreciate all the support. It means everything. And again, if you like this episode, we'd love to hear it. Okay? We'll catch you next time on Let Me Holla at You.